Do negative thoughts and constant worries feel like an unrelenting storm, stripping away your inner peace and making every moment feel like a battle? Do you long for a sense of calm that feels unshakable, regardless of the chaos that surrounds you? If so, this video is designed just for you. In today's session, we'll explore transformative Buddhist teachings that have helped countless individuals find profound serenity and clarity in the midst of life's ups and downs. You'll be introduced to time-tested practices and philosophies that not only quiet the mind, but also illuminate the heart, bringing light to places within you that you may not have known existed. We'll discuss how you can train your mind to free itself from the grip of negativity, develop compassion for yourself and others, and ultimately discover the deep well of peace that resides within you. Because remember, true peace doesn't come from external circumstances. It starts with the inner shifts you make. Are you ready to tap into your innermost peace? Let's dive in together and uncover the tools that can help you transform your mind, heart, and life. The origin of mental turmoil. Imagine your mind as a vast open sky, a sky that stretches infinitely, free from boundaries, vast and boundless, offering a canvas of infinite possibility. In this great expanse, thoughts, both positive and negative, drift across like clouds. Some clouds are light and airy, gently floating by, carrying with them inspiration, joy, creativity, and fresh ideas. They are the pleasant thoughts that bring peace and clarity, the moments of joy that lift our spirits. Other clouds, however, can darken the sky. These clouds are not light and fluffy. They are heavy, filled with the weight of worries, fears, regrets, and doubts. These darker clouds may linger longer, sometimes even storming through our minds with feelings of anger, frustration, or sadness. But here's the crucial insight. We often forget that these clouds are not the sky itself. We become so deeply entangled with these passing clouds that we begin to believe that they are the very sky. We mistake them for the entire vastness of our mind. We believe that because the clouds are here, the sky itself is dark, cold, and closed off. We forget that behind every cloud, the sky remains clear and open. This is where suffering begins. We get so caught up in the storm of our thoughts that we begin to believe these clouds are permanent, that the darkness will never pass, that the storm will never end. But the truth is, just like the clouds, our thoughts are temporary and they too will pass. In Buddhist philosophy, it's not the thoughts themselves that create our suffering. It's our attachment to those thoughts. The suffering doesn't arise from the thoughts, but from our clinging to them. We become emotionally tied to them, nurturing negative narratives from the past, reliving old grievances, or worrying about what might happen in the future. These thoughts, which start as fleeting moments in our minds, begin to gain momentum. When we hold on to them, we replay them over and over, and this mental habit transforms them from passing clouds into a relentless, overwhelming storm that clouds our inner peace. But here's the good news. We have the power to break this cycle. The first step is to realize something profound. We are not our thoughts. We are not the clouds. We are the vast, open sky. We are the observer of the thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. The mind is like a mirror, and our thoughts are reflections in that mirror. The clarity and serenity of the mirror itself are untouched by whatever reflection appears within it. To create space between ourselves and these mental storms, we must learn to observe our thoughts with detachment, without attachment or judgment. This practice is known as mindful awareness, and it is the gateway to finding inner peace. It invites us to step back and simply witness our thoughts as they arise, acknowledging them as temporary events, much like the clouds drifting across the sky. The clouds may appear, but they are not permanent and they will pass. Instead of being swept away by them, instead of identifying with them, we can cultivate a sense of curiosity and compassion. When a negative thought arises, perhaps a worry about the future, a fear from the past, or an emotional reaction to something happening in the present, we can pause and say, there's a thought about worry, a thought about fear. By labeling the thought, we create a small but powerful gap between us and the thought itself. This gap allows us to observe the thought without being consumed by its emotional charge. It is in this moment of recognition that we break free from the mental storm. This small act of acknowledging the thought for what it is, just a thought, reminds us that thoughts are not permanent. Just like clouds, they come and go. Sometimes they appear dark and heavy, but they too will dissipate. With time, and when we learn to simply watch them as they drift by, we rediscover the stillness that lies behind them. The vast, open sky of our true nature. The sky is always clear, the clouds are always temporary. This practice of mindfulness, the ability to observe, detach, and not attach ourselves to fleeting thoughts, helps us cultivate a deep sense of peace and serenity. Instead of being tossed around by the storms of our mind, we learn to anchor ourselves in the spaciousness of our true self. We remember that the sky itself is unchanging, and so too is our deeper nature. The thoughts may come and go, but the sky remains. As we continue to practice mindfulness and awareness, we begin to see more clearly that our inner peace does not depend on the absence of clouds. It depends on our ability to see beyond them. We no longer believe that we are at the mercy of our thoughts, but instead we stand as the witness, peaceful and still, observing the clouds without being swept away by them. The powerful practice of letting go. Our society teaches us to hold on to things. We are encouraged to cling to our identities, our possessions, our achievements, and even our past. We define ourselves by these external markers, believing that they give us security and meaning. But, in truth, this constant attachment to what we have or who we think we are only brings suffering. As the Buddha taught, suffering doesn't come from the things themselves, but from our clinging to them. Our attachment creates the illusion of permanence, when in fact everything is in constant flux. Detachment, or nirodha, is a central concept in Buddhist teachings, but it is often misunderstood. It's not about not caring, nor is it about becoming indifferent to the world. It's about recognizing that everything is impermanent, and because of this, attachment leads to suffering. Detachment, in this sense, is the act of freeing yourself from the emotional chains of desire and aversion. It is about learning to enjoy life and appreciate what we have without the constant fear of loss and without the compulsive need to possess or control. It is the recognition that true freedom lies in letting go. A practical way to cultivate this detachment is to reflect on the impermanence of all things. This is the Buddha's teaching of anicca, which tells us that everything is in a state of flux. Our lives, our relationships, our possessions, and even our thoughts are not fixed. They rise, they change, and they fall away. We often hold on to things because we mistakenly believe they are permanent or that they define us. But in truth, nothing lasts forever. This constant change can be unsettling, but it is also the key to freedom. By meditating on impermanence, you can begin to reduce the grip that attachments have on your mind. When we recognize that everything is temporary, we start to shift our focus away from holding on tightly to what we think we need. Instead, we learn to appreciate the present moment, knowing that we cannot hold on to it forever. For instance, think about your relationships. Instead of fearing the inevitable changes or the potential loss of a loved one, reflect on the preciousness of the present moment with them. By accepting that all things, good or bad, are temporary, you free yourself from the anxiety of what might happen. You can fully enjoy the moments you share with others, knowing that they are fleeting, but that doesn't diminish their value. In the same way, your thoughts, whether joyful or troubling, are just that, thoughts. They arise and they pass away. By recognizing this, you learn not to attach to them, not to identify with them. This detachment from thoughts leads to greater clarity and inner peace, as you no longer let your mind be ruled by fluctuating emotions or the need for certainty. Another way to embody detachment is through the practice of decluttering. The process of clearing out your physical space can mirror the mental process of letting go. When you remove the physical clutter that surrounds you, old items, things you no longer need, and material possessions that have been accumulating, you create an environment that mirrors the mental clarity and freedom you seek. Just as we hold on to physical things, we also hold on to mental clutter, old memories, limiting beliefs, fears, and unresolved emotions. By decluttering your environment, you create a space where you can breathe more easily, a space that fosters lightness, freedom, and peace. This act of letting go, even on a small scale, helps to train your mind to do the same. As you release the unnecessary physical objects, you begin to feel less attached to them. The process of letting go becomes easier, and you start to see how little you need to be content, how much lighter and freer you can feel when you're not weighed down by things. In the same way that we might clean out a closet or organize a drawer, we can declutter our minds. Meditation and mindfulness can help us identify mental clutter, thoughts, worries, desires, and attachments, and allow us to release them. We learn to let go of the need to control everything and recognize that true peace comes from living in harmony with the natural flow of life, embracing each moment without clinging. If this message resonates with you, and you're seeking more moments of peace and insight, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for daily reflections rooted in ancient wisdom and modern clarity. The influence of presence. In our fast-paced world, we rarely inhabit the present moment. We are almost constantly caught between the weight of our memories from the past and the worries we have about the future. We replay old experiences, wishing we had acted differently, or we find ourselves anxiously anticipating what may come. This habit of living either in the past or the future keeps us disconnected from the only moment we truly have, the present. In the practice of mindfulness, or sati, we are taught to anchor our awareness in the now, to immerse ourselves fully in the present moment. Mindfulness isn't just about being aware, it's about being fully present, engaged with the current experience without distractions from past regrets or future anxieties. It is about observing what is happening right here, right now, with openness and curiosity. One of the simplest and most effective ways to cultivate mindfulness is through conscious breathing. Breathing is something we do naturally, but we often do it unconsciously. When we take a moment to breathe mindfully, we bring our awareness back into our body, into the present moment. Sit quietly, close your eyes if you wish, and focus entirely on the sensation of your breath. Feel it as it enters your body, filling your lungs, and then notice the gentle exhale as the air leaves. The rise and fall of your chest, the coolness of the air as you breathe in, and the warmth as you breathe out. These sensations serve as an anchor to pull your mind away from the noise of the past and the worry of the future. When your mind inevitably begins to wander, because it will, simply notice this without judgment. Gently bring your focus back to the breath. Every time your mind drifts, gently redirect it to your breathing. This repeated act of returning your attention to the present moment strengthens your mindful muscle, creating a mental habit that makes it easier to stay focused in the here and now. Over time, you will notice that you become more adept at returning to the present, even during moments of stress or distraction. You can also practice mindfulness in everyday activities. Often, we perform daily tasks without really noticing them. Eating, walking, washing dishes, or even driving. But these ordinary moments are perfect opportunities for mindfulness. When you eat, take the time to savor each bite. Notice the texture, the flavor, the smell of the food. Instead of rushing through your meal or eating mindlessly, experience the act of eating fully. This not only makes your food more enjoyable, but it also brings you into the present moment. When you walk, pay attention to the sensation of your feet as they make contact with the ground. Feel the texture of the surface beneath you, the movement of your body, and the rhythm of your steps. Allow yourself to be fully present with the simple act of walking. Even the most mundane tasks, like washing your hands or folding clothes, can become opportunities for mindfulness if you take the time to engage fully in them. As you begin to bring mindfulness into these everyday moments, you'll notice something profound. The constant stream of negative thoughts that often consume us, thoughts about the past, worries about the future, begins to subside. Instead of being carried away by these thoughts, you begin to observe them from a place of calm, without being attached to them. The more you practice mindfulness, the more you create a space between you and your thoughts. You begin to see that thoughts are not permanent. They come and go like clouds in the sky. By returning to the present moment again and again, you start to experience the peace and clarity that comes from living in harmony with the flow of life, instead of resisting it. Embracing compassion for yourself. We are often our own harshest critics. We tend to hold ourselves to impossibly high standards, constantly criticizing our actions, our choices, and even our very selves. We replay our mistakes, magnifying them in our minds, and convince ourselves that we are not enough. This relentless self-criticism is a primary source of negative thought patterns and inner suffering. It can create a constant undercurrent of anxiety, shame, and guilt that robs us of peace and joy. In Buddhism, one of the most transformative principles for overcoming these negative thought patterns is metta, or loving kindness. Metta is the practice of offering compassion and goodwill, not only to others but also to ourselves. It's about nurturing a deep sense of kindness, acceptance, and love within, especially in moments when we feel most unworthy or self-critical. The first step in cultivating metta is to offer yourself the same compassion you would offer to a dear friend. Imagine that a loved one, someone you care for deeply, has just made a mistake. How would you speak to them? You would likely offer words of comfort, reassurance, and encouragement. You wouldn't tear them down or berate them. You would remind them that mistakes are a natural part of life and that they don't define their worth. Now ask yourself, why don't we offer this same compassion to ourselves? When you make a mistake or face a challenge, instead of falling into self-criticism, try saying to yourself, "It's okay, I did my best, and I'll learn from this." This simple act of self-forgiveness and acceptance is incredibly powerful. It creates a moment of release, where you stop the cycle of negativity and begin to nurture yourself with kindness. This act of compassion does more than soothe. It starves the seeds of negativity, preventing them from taking root and growing into deeper feelings of self-doubt or regret. Self-compassion is not about excusing mistakes or avoiding growth. It's about acknowledging that, like everyone else, you are a human being, flawed, imperfect, and capable of learning. This shift in mindset allows you to view challenges as opportunities for growth, rather than as evidence of your inadequacy. Once you've cultivated this loving kindness for yourself, the next step is to extend it to others. When you recognize that everyone is facing their own struggles, their own battles, whether visible or invisible, you begin to see them not as obstacles or adversaries, but as fellow human beings. This understanding fosters a deep sense of shared humanity. As you practice metta, you begin to see that just as you are deserving of compassion and kindness, so are others. This realization can reduce feelings of isolation and hostility, which often fuel negative thinking. Instead of feeling disconnected or resentful towards others, you start to feel a sense of unity and interconnection. A powerful way to put this into practice is through small acts of kindness. Volunteering your time, offering a genuine smile, or even listening attentively when someone shares their story can create meaningful connections. These acts don't have to be grand gestures. It's the small, everyday moments of kindness that nurture compassion and make a big difference in your mindset. When you extend kindness to others, it not only helps them, but also deepens your own sense of self-worth and peace. In fact, research has shown that practicing loving kindness can significantly improve your overall well-being. When we are kind to others, we activate the same positive emotions within ourselves. It shifts the focus away from negativity towards a place of connection, warmth, and mutual respect. It's a practice that has the power to heal both your heart and the hearts of those around you. By embracing metta, you break the cycle of self-criticism and negative thinking. Instead of being caught in the downward spiral of judgment, shame, and fear, you create a life filled with compassion, understanding, and peace. You begin to see yourself and others through the lens of love, kindness, and acceptance. And in this space, negativity has no room to thrive. The transformative journey. These practices are not a quick fix. The journey toward a peaceful mind is not one that can be achieved overnight. It is a gradual process that unfolds over time. True transformation comes from patience, persistence, and most importantly, self-compassion. It's about recognizing that we are all works in progress. There will be ups and downs, days when we feel deeply connected to our practice, and days when we feel disconnected. But each step, no matter how small, contributes to the larger shift. we seek. The path to inner peace is not linear. There will be moments of frustration when the mind seems louder than ever, when negative thoughts feel overwhelming, and when the weight of the world feels too much to carry. But it is precisely in those moments that the practice deepens. It is in the moments of struggle that we learn the most about ourselves and our minds. It is through the gentle persistence of showing up for ourselves again and again that we begin to see change. The more you practice, the more you will notice a subtle but profound shift in your relationship with your thoughts. You will no longer feel like a helpless victim of your own mind, at the mercy of every fleeting thought or passing emotion. Instead, you will begin to see your thoughts for what they truly are. Just thoughts. They are not permanent, and they do not define you. You are the observer of these thoughts, not the captive. With practice, you begin to cultivate a deep sense of awareness and wisdom. In time, you will find yourself becoming the wise guardian of your mind. Just as a loving guardian tends to a garden, carefully removing weeds and nurturing the healthy plants, you will learn to tend to your thoughts. You'll be able to notice when a thought is unhelpful or harmful and gently redirect it without judgment. You'll start to cultivate the mental habits that foster peace, clarity, and compassion. You will no longer be controlled by your mind. Instead, you'll be at peace with it. This process doesn't require perfection. It's not about silencing every thought or achieving a mind without any distraction. It's about creating space between you and the thoughts, allowing you to respond to them with wisdom and compassion rather than reacting impulsively. Over time, you'll notice that the negative thoughts that once ruled your mind no longer hold the same power. You'll be able to meet them with equanimity, knowing they are temporary and will pass, just like clouds in the sky. So, what small step will you take today to begin your journey toward a quieter mind and a lighter heart? It doesn't have to be a big leap. It could be as simple as taking a few minutes to breathe deeply and center yourself, or perhaps setting aside time to practice mindfulness during a daily activity. You might begin with self-compassion, acknowledging any negative thoughts with kindness, and allowing yourself the space to let them go. The key is to start somewhere, even with a small act. Every step forward, no matter how tiny, takes you closer to the peace you seek. Remember, the journey is the destination. Every moment of practice, every moment of mindfulness, and every moment of kindness toward yourself is part of the path. Trust that as you continue, you will begin to notice the subtle but beautiful shifts within yourself.